Hi, this is 365801 and this is another video for my BL collection tour. So I think this is going to be drawer number 4. In this drawer we have mostly Tokyopop, old Tokyopop, and a couple of new Tokyopops. Some are BL-esque and some are BL adjacent, and then there's some other ones that aren't quite BL at all. Really, well, Clamp is pretty much BL as far as I'm concerned. You can also see that there is some SuBLime, and that's because my SuBLime drawer is pretty much full. It started to overspill, and so I've put some of my SuBLime titles in this drawer. I might swap round as I get more SuBLime titles. They will probably have to take up 2 drawers themselves, but here we go. This is what I've got in this drawer. So the first title I'm going to look at is Gravitation by Maki Murakami, and this is only volume 1 and volume 2 of the old Tokyopop version. Unfortunately, I did not buy a full complete set when I had the chance, and I really did kick myself. You know, people talk about the remorse of what you didn't do, and yeah, non-buyer's remorse. I have definitely. I saw on eBay a few years ago a full complete set, all single volumes, for £6 plus shipping. Ugh. And I was like, yeah, Mum, I might pick that up. And I didn't. And yeah, I have looked and I've seen some odd volumes here and there, but they've kind of been snapped up. So only volume 1 and 2, which I think I got as a set with some other things as well. Gravitation is quite a popular title for BL Fujoshi of a certain age, I think. A lot of BL fans, it was their first introduction to BL when they watched the Gravitation series animation, which has some of the most fantastic animation series. The start is brilliant. What a great opening, and brilliant music as well. Oh, spicy marmalade. It's just so silly and so fun. And yeah, I love Gravitation, so I'm really happy to have these 2 volumes, but I was really disappointed not to get the full set. Next up are the 2 novel versions of Gravitation. One is Gravitation the novel, and the other is Gravitation Voice of Temptation, both by Maki Murakami as well, and also released by Tokyopop in the old version. So with Gravitation, there is the volumes 1 to 12, and there's an X one as well, which I don't have, and then there are these 2 novels. So if you didn't know about the novels, they are available, and they're usually easily obtainable and usually quite cheap as well. So don't worry if you don't have them and you'd like them. You can usually find them and find them for a really good price as well. And unsurprisingly, I haven't read them yet. Nope, I have not read it yet. So it is one of those things I think, oh, I'll get round to, I'll do it one day. Well, I've got plenty of time now, so yeah, the Gravitation novels I would like to read only after I have completed reading the full series. So the last in my Gravitation is Gravitation Collection by Maki Murakami, and it is the omnibus versions of the Shonen masterpiece, as it says on the front. So each volume is 2 volumes together of the single volumes, so it's 6 volumes, but it is collating volumes 1 through 12. And it is the story of Shuichi and his drive to become a pop star, and his relationship with Yukieri, who's a novelist, and their relationship and their trials and tribulations. And first and foremost, though, it is a comedy. It's a bit of romance, of course, but it is supposed to be a comedy. So with BL, it's not just BL, there's other elements as well, which I think the animation really got, and they portrayed really well as having some fantastic music. And there's nothing you can say about the music that I mean, you have to agree it's fabulous music. If you're an anime fan, then you'll be a really big fan of like TM Revolution or Abingdon Boys Club. or Abingdon Boys School I should say, Abingdon Boys School, and I have gone and seen them, so I've seen them in concert. It was really fun. It was a kind of a crazy experience, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was about as close as I could get to the Gravitation world. I really enjoyed Gravitation as an anime. I thought it was really unique to use real footage at the start, because this was kind of an old anime as well. So yeah, Gravitation. It's old school, it's kind of an old period one, but if you like a good laugh and you don't take your BL too seriously, this is definitely one to check out. If you don't know Gravitation, what are you doing? Come on, it's BL. It's like one of the tops. Well, it's a good one anyway, so if you haven't checked it out, check out Gravitation. Okay, next on the old Tokyopop stuff that I've got, there is the volumes 1 through 8 that they published for Loveless by Yun Koga. I do have, I think there's 2 volume 7s here as well, and I think I have some other volumes as well back in my other collection, but I always thought that I had the full set 1 through 8, but I didn't, and so I went out and got it. Just like Gravitation, I was really pleased to be able to get the full set. They are old, the old Tokyopops, but it's just nice to have a full complete set of whatever is published, even if it's not the full amount. And as you know from my video 3, it has been published in omnibus form by Viz, and they have continued publishing it as it's come out. So Loveless is available through Viz if you can't get hold of these old Tokyopop versions as a complete set. And why would you want to when there's a Viz, lovely Viz version out there? As usual, it's like, oh, I just want to have a version of everything. So yeah, Loveless. This is also an anime, and this was also very popular, but quite a bit later than Gravitation, I think. Maybe, I would assume. It just feels like it is. Maybe it's not even. I really love the artwork. Volume 4's artwork's really beautiful. But yeah, it's more of the same, Loveless, and duplication of a story, but I'm happy to have it in the collection. Another complete set, and that is Tactics, volumes 1 through 8, art and story by Sakura Kinoshita and Kazuko Higashiyama. And this is something else that was made into an anime series that you can watch, and it's not BL as such, but it has kind of been thought of as BL because it does have some elements to it, and most of the time anything that was even remotely slashable was considered that. I haven't read it yet, and I've only watched parts of the anime because I got a bit bored, if I'm honest. Isn't that bad? I really should sit down and actually do it. It's like one of those, if there was an anime about it and it was kind of even slightly BL-esque or Shonen-esque, then I would try and get hold of it. And that's the case, so I did, and I was really happy to get a copy. I have 2 copies of volume 1 for some reason, but then I managed to get the full set. And I'm happy to have it, but I haven't read it yet. And I do think there will be some interesting female characters in the story as well. So the artwork looks really nice on the front. So yeah, I kind of want to sit down and read it. But yeah, I tried watching the anime and I got a little bit bored and switched off. Isn't that bad? Maybe if you know about Tactics, you'd be like, no, it's good, watch it to the end. I don't know. So yeah, tell me about Tactics if you know about Tactics. But I do not yet. I will read this when I get round to it. These next 3 volumes, volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Togainu no Chi is by Suguro Tayamachi and Nitro plus Chiral. And this is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong because I actually am not 100% sure, but I think this was like a BL game first, that was then made into an anime and manga. Maybe the manga came before the anime, but I think this was originally a game first. And I did watch, I think I did actually watch like the whole of the anime, but if you were to tell me about it, I'd be like, okay, that sounds interesting. Like, I know it's about like a section of the, sounds really bad actually, stuff to do with things in your blood, and of course, not really the best time to be reading this, maybe. I don't know if there's some sort of mutation or something. There's people in like lockdown who are isolated in a portion of the city. It's all kind of gone feral and everyone's rogue, and then there's people who, I don't know, I'm not entirely sure what was going on. I was confused by the anime anyway, so I'm not too sure if it's easier for you to know from playing the game. But yeah, I do think it was originally a game. So sometimes the things that are games don't always transfer over into other media in the same way. Sometimes it's easier to take a story and then make a game out of it, sometimes not. But yeah, I was not so much of a fan of Tokyopop no Chi, and they have 3 volumes. I don't know if there's any more. I was never that bothered to try and find out, but I was happy to have. I got these for a really good price. They were really cheap, and it came all 3 of them together. So if there's more of them out there, I'll try and see if I can get them. But I'm actually not that bothered about it. I enjoyed it, but I doubt that this is in any way explicit. And I think that the game certainly was. So yeah, it's very much toned down. The anime was pretty toned down, although there was a sort of SM or BDSM type character in it, which everyone seemed to love. But no one really seems to be that bothered about the protagonist, who in the game is assaulted left, right and centre. I think that's kind of the point of some of these games. I'm not really a fan for some reason. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So there's a few of these. But yeah, Tokyopop released these 3 volumes. I don't think they've released any more. I don't know if there was any more in Japanese either, so can't help you on that. But it exists, and if Tokyopop no Chi was a great anime for you, it was your jam, then try and find these. Next in the old Tokyopop collection, I have Legal Drug, which is by Clamp, and it's volume 1, 2 and 3. This was then sort of repackaged, and they had a sort of extension of the story, or maybe a new story, I don't actually know because I haven't read it, and it was called Drug and Drop. And I don't have it yet, and I think that was done by Dark Horse maybe? I don't actually know, but I'm gonna need to get it at some point anyway. So these have been repackaged, and I think they've also been done as a omnibus version, but I don't have the omnibus, I just have these 3. And they're not in bad condition. Volume 1's a little bit beat up, but volume 2 and 3 are in really good condition, so I'm happy to get them. These are actually 2 of like the more explicit characters who are kind of very much in that vein of this is a couple. Yeah, they don't get on very well. Well, or I should say there is a more obvious couple in the story, which is like the owner of the drugstore. So yeah, this is kind of like a good representation. Once again, there's like marijuana leaves, which doesn't help to sell it well. At that point in time anyway, because obviously everyone was like, no. Anyway, so yeah, Drug and Drop is the next story I'd like to get of this. It's not BL as such. Come on, who are we kidding? Clamp is so BL. So yeah, anything Clamp is, it's got boys love and Yuri elements in it, so it's for us, you know. So yeah, Legal Drug, they also had a little anime, and also they come up in as recurring characters in some of their other works as well. It's all part of the Clampverse, as it were. So yeah, I really like having Legal Drug, and I would very much like to get the next story too. Now, I'm not going to take them all out. There is 10 volumes of Rig Veda or RG Veda, depending on how you pronounce it, also by Clamp, and it's Clamp's smash debut manga. And Clamp is brilliant. Clamp's just wonderful. I don't really need to go on about how fantastic Clamp is, because most people who are watching this are going to already know about Clamp and be in love with them. So this is the old Tokyopop version, and I was happy to get it. I unfortunately thought that I was going to get the whole series. Someone put up their volumes 1 through 10 in 3 separate lots on eBay because they put together 9 and 10, which are the hardest ones to find. I'm going to be honest with you, they were a bit more expensive than I usually want to pay, but I really wanted to complete the set, which is kind of silly because for the cost of volumes 1 through 10, I probably could have got some of them, at least one volume of the new version. I don't know who's publishing the new version, with a lovely gold cover, but they are almost exact facsimile copies of the rebooted editions that were sold in Japan, and that's for all of Clamp's older work from their debut through you know, like all of the Clamp School Detective stuff, everything, all of that was repackaged and redone, and I have all of them in Japanese. So all of the repackaged, rebooted, lovely fancy new versions of all of Clamp's older work is in Japanese, and they've re-released RG or Rigveda. So most people now have that. I think that's 3 volumes that you can get these 10 volumes in 3 omnibus volumes, and they are exactly the same as the Japanese versions that were in the shops. They look exactly the same. So, you know, often we'll say, oh, it's not quite the same as the actual Japanese version, so this one looks very pretty. And that's certainly the case when it comes to Clamp's other works. The work that I think is my favourite, which is XXX Holic. That's probably my favourite work by Clamp. And if you look at the Japanese versions, they are stunningly beautiful. They have colour around the edge of the paper, and each of the colours are different, and each of the colours align with the artwork on the front cover and the back cover. So around the edge you have these beautiful coloured paper edges, and when you have them all lined up it just looks stunning. And so I really I kept thinking, get it, because it's so beautiful, and I kept saying no, because you can't read these yet. You know, you can practice your Japanese as much as you want, but you can't read them yet, so there's no point. And part of me is like, you'll buy them one day. So I'll probably go back, I'll go into a book off and see a full set there. And I have seen them, they weren't that expensive, but it was like, no, don't buy them, because it is a big series, but so beautiful. So sometimes we don't get the same quality or attention to detail, or just the extra. They just put in a bit of extra because they know that they want people to buy these books and love them and care for them and want them, and that doesn't always translate over into the English publication. But when it comes to the new versions of Rigveda, they are exactly the same, so you know you're getting an exact replica of the Japanese version that was published. But because I have it in Japanese, I haven't bothered to buy the new English version. I have all of the republished ones in Japanese, and yes, I can read them. Like, I can read most of it, but I can't read it all. So yeah, there's those to collect as well, and they are much nicer, big fancy, big omnibus versions. And I think on most of the Clamp works you can get in omnibus versions now. So some are a little bit more difficult to get, or a bit more expensive, or they're very well loved or beat up. And these are copies, other than volume 9 and 10, which were a little bit more expensive. They're all a little bit beat up, but I'm happy to have it, and I will get around to properly reading it. The anime as well I've watched, and I was a bit confused, and it was a long time ago that I watched it, so it's definitely worth a rewatch and a read. Now, also in this drawer I have a random volume of Fruits Basket, which is volume 13. This is by Natsuki Takaya. This is ongoing as an anime just now. The second season's just about to start, or by the time I've got this up it probably will have started, so please go and watch that. It's fantastic, it's wonderful, I love it. If you would like a new fancy version of Fruits Basket, because the Tokyopop version is very difficult to get a full set for, and it is incredibly expensive, you can get the new set, I think from Yen Press. They have a rebooted version Omnibus's large trim. Really nicely looking ones, and I don't have them yet, so I would like to get them. They are on my to buy list, and they're not BL. They're not, but that doesn't mean that I don't also enjoy other things. So yeah, Fruits Basket. Now next is a Tokyopop volume that I'm actually really proud to have at least one volume of, and that is Shiho Sugiura's Silver Diamond. This is volume 1, Silver Seed. I think Shiho Sugiura's work is beautiful. I think her storytelling is intricate, delicate, and emotional, and her stories are interesting and unique, and they have just enough element of BL in them for me to go, yep, that's for me. And I think quite lucky just to have this one volume. They're really hard to find, and I don't think that Tokyopop even published the full series, so it would be an incomplete series even if I had more of it. This is a great title, and I think it would be a shame for her work to not go noticed more. I think it's kind of something that that maybe modern publishers should maybe have a look into. This is some good work, some good storytelling. She's got lots of interesting ones, so yeah, I would like more of Shiho Sugiura's work in English. So within this drawer, that's all of the older Tokyopop titles that I have. I do have some more Tokyopop in my other collection. I'll go through that in a second, but as you know, they have tried to come back and have a bit of a renaissance. They're trying to redeem themselves. You know, we'll see. There's far too many incomplete series for me to be happy about necessarily buying a Tokyopop title. And yet I have two, and there is a third volume out now. So this is Hanger by Hirotaka Kisaragi, and I have shown some of his work previously in the first drawer where we saw, I think it was Innocent Bird, and that was a blue title, which was also Tokyopop. So Hirotaka Kisaragi is obviously okay with the Tokyopop brand. His work is beautiful. Look at those covers, they're just lovely. One of the things that I have noticed though, like, there's been so much about fans and collectors moaning about the spines not matching across the series, and Tokyopop, they have already gone that way. Volumes 1 and 2 have the same spine, and volume 3, I know, has a white spine, whereas these have red spines. I don't know why. Maybe that's a Japanese thing, so if it is to do with the way that the Japanese work is presented, then I'm okay with it. If it's a Tokyopop decision, I'm like, what? Why would you do that? So maybe there's a volume 4 coming, and that's also going to be white, and maybe it's a series and that's how they're planning it. If that's the case, then fine by me. If it's Tokyopop's decision, what are you doing? Come on. I'm like, don't push us. Don't push us. I think there's a sense of seething rage underneath everyone's mild demeanours of, yeah, fine, I'll see if I can give them a shot. But they are coming out with a lot more titles, a lot newer titles, interesting titles, so I'm going to give them a go. You know, I'm not going to say no. I bought all of, as you can see, I've got plenty of old titles that I bought second hand. So, you know, if they are bringing good titles by good authors, good mangaka to the public, then I'm going to give them a go. Not to necessarily support Tokyopop, but to support Hirotaka Kisaragi, because I love Hirotaka Kisaragi. Brilliant mangaka, lovely storytelling. This is a really interesting story. It doesn't have the... It's very much in a kind of an old style, so I guess it's from that time period. It definitely has elements to his work as previously, what that he has produced, so it's of his style, which I like. The storytelling is interesting. It's about couples who have to work together. It's a little bit like, if I have to say this, maybe I'm being rude here, it's a little bit like Psychopaths. Maybe has anyone else made that connection as well? It's a bit like a BL Psychopath, you know, and Psychopaths was pretty darn gay anyway, so this is a little bit just like ramped up just slightly. If you disagree, fine, sure. I liked Psychopath, but I felt like it needed more BL elements. And there you go, here we go. Hanger, this is what you're after. So, volumes 1 and 2 with volume 3 out, which I don't have yet. I will get it because I actually really enjoyed it, and I was annoyed because I thought it was just going to be a 2-volume series. Then by the end of the second volume I was like, what? So I don't know if there's more after the 3rd volume. If there is, I'm probably going to be happy about that because I really enjoyed the story and it gives me an excuse to reread it. So yeah, Hanger. If you want to support the new Tokyopop, there are more BL out there. So as you can see from the photograph, I have some Wild Adapter and I have 2 copies of every volume except for the 6th one. I bought what I thought was a full set and then realised it wasn't a full set because it didn't have the 6th volume, and then I bought a full set. So, so I have almost a full set and not quite a full set, randomly. So I have to get rid of my Wild Adapters. Along with that I have Sayuki, and I don't have a full set for that either. I have volumes 1 to 7, and another Sayuki Reload, which is volumes 1 through 5. So I don't actually know because I'm not that much of a fan of Sayuki. I tried watching the new anime version that they released, and I tried watching the old ones, and I just couldn't get into it for some strange reason. But I do have some of these volumes. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these. I might, but I don't really want to go out of my way to collect them, or the missing volumes at this point in time. I don't know if they're hard to get hold of, I don't know if they're difficult, I don't know anything about it because honestly I tried watching it and it was like, meh, I just couldn't get into it for whatever reason. So I just know that there's like, is it 4 guys or 5 guys, and they're hanging around together. I don't know what it was about the story that never really appealed to me, but I don't know, I found it really dull from the first episode, so I've never actually bothered to read it. I have no idea what it's about. It's not terrible. Anyway, on to something that I do know about, and that's volumes 1 to 7 of Fake. She also did the Full Moon series as well, which I've read last year. This is a story about 2 detectives. I think one is bisexual. It was kind of groundbreaking at the time. It was really like one of those heralded series that people were like, wow, this is amazing, this is fantastic. And in a way it is actually, you know, it is, because very rarely were you know, sexualities discussed in that kind of way. So yeah, Fake, it's very famous. There's the, I think, OVAs that you can watch. I don't think it's a full series, maybe it is. So if you're interested, you can go check it out. And I don't think it's difficult to get hold of these volumes either. I managed to get the full set in a 1 or so. Yeah, Fake. And as you can see, what I thought was a full set, it was only volumes 5, 6, 7 and 8 of Loveless. So I have duplicates of 5, 6, 7 and 8, and I have actually 3 copies of 7. Oh dear. So I won't need to keep them, I can probably get rid of them. And as you can see as well, at the bottom, Eerie Query, 2 volume 1s, and the rest volumes 1 through 4. So I have a Eerie Query as well, which was also supposed to be quite, but I've never actually read it. I have no idea. So most of what's up there I haven't actually read. So there you go, as usual. Yep, that's my Tokyopop, old Tokyopop collection. So having gone through all of my Tokyopop titles in this drawer, I have some SuBLime titles that are the overspill from my SuBLime drawer, and there are only 3 titles in this drawer at the moment. The first one is 3 Wolves Mountain, and that is by Bora Naono. I've been meaning to get this for a long time and I finally got it, so I think there's very few titles in their sort of backlog that they had already done that I hadn't collected. So I think I have most of their print titles up until, you know, the fairly recent ones, and I haven't been able to collect them yet. So I'll get round to them eventually. But this one I kind of missed out on, so I think there's only 1 or 2 that I still need to get and fill in my gaps. So this was a gap that needed to be filled. And it's just a one-shot title by Bora Naono. 3 Wolves Mountain is about some werewolves and a gravekeeper who needs to tend the graveyard and run a cafe at the same time. So he has some sort of spiritual powers. It's very much in the fantasy vein that you would expect from Bora Naono. She's known for lots of fantasy stories. I have one of her other works as well, which I read last year, Yokai's Hunger. I actually quite like her stories. They're quite fun and they're easy to read, and their characters are usually quite entertaining. I especially like the werewolves, or I wouldn't really call them, well, yeah, he is a werewolf. There's Jiro and Taro, which is quite funny because they're kind of funny names. I think it's Jiro who's the younger one, the blonde hair on the cover, and Taro is the actual wolf. Taro's great. I love Taro. Taro is my favourite character in this. He's just hilarious and lovely and just a great brother. He's a great brother, and I just love how he interacts with the other character. I can't actually remember his name just now. That he's kind of standoffish, and yet at the same time he just loves getting petted round the ears and snuggles and stuff. So he's a really interesting character, Taro. This BL has what I quite like sometimes in my BL stories, and that's the fluidity of roles. So not just adhering to the semi-uke role all the time, but being a bit more fluid in that. So I like that there's a bit of development and character growth in that. So yeah, Three Wolves Mountain. It's a one-shot, so one-off, and it's a nice, easy read, and it's got Bora Naono's style. So yeah, I'm really happy to have this one. I do recommend it, it's good. This is Love Stage, and I have volumes 1 through 7 in the drawer. This is by Eiki Eiki and the art by Taishi Zao, which is quite obvious. You can see straight away that it's Taishi Zao's art style. This is probably their most famous work that really became incredibly popular, and they got 2 seasons, I think, of the anime as well. They also have some BL novels that are focused on the manager Rei and the older brother. Shogo, I think his name is. Maybe not. So the older brother who is in a band, and Rei the manager, and it focuses on their relationship. So the BL novels haven't been translated, which is a bit of a shame. I think you don't get the full experience in English as you would if you were buying it in Japanese. So this came out, I was living in Japan at the time, so I was buying CL. I actually have a few little Love Stage goods and things like clear file folders and things like that. So, and other things that you got free with the magazine. I always love getting the magazine for the free things. I do like this story. It's quite a simple story of, you know, some childhood romance and how they develop their relationship as they get older. There is, though, something that I actually really like about this, and the fact that they do address how sex between two men can always, you know, can't always be perfect straight off the bat. So I like how they address that actually and say, hey, you know, technique is good. It's like one of those things that some of the older titles don't always address is you know, a bit of lubrication is necessary. Maybe some preparation beforehand, and I like it when actually they address these things, because it used to just be that they never drew condoms in BL manga, and now they do, and I think that's much better. It's a bit more up to date. So yeah, Love Stage does deal with things like that and the development of their relationship. It's a cute story, but I haven't actually read volume 7. Isn't that crazy? I think I've read all the way up to volume 5 or 6, and I haven't actually read volume 7. I read the first volumes in Japanese, so that's why I haven't actually read volume 7. So yeah, I don't actually have a volume 7 in Japanese, or if I do, it's not open yet, so I don't know how it ends, but it looks like it ends in a nice way. So I have watched the anime. That was good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favourite, but I still think this is a really good solid title, and it's a nice sweet one if you're developing your BL tastes. And for the final title in the drawer, it's once again one that I won't take out the whole set. There's 8 volumes and it is Blue Morning by Shoko Hidaka, and I actually have 2 volume 1s and 2 volume 2s, and the rest I think is just 1 volume of each one. So I do have the full set, and as you can see for these 2, they're still wrapped in their plastic. I haven't opened them yet. I do have my separate volume 1 which is open, and I would like to read Blue Morning all the way through because I have not actually read any of it. I have been keeping back and saving them all until I had all 8 volumes so I could sit and read them all. It's kind of penance for my previous sins. I have read scans in the past, and one of the titles that I have read is volume 1 of Blue Morning, and then they started getting published by SuBLime, and I thought, you know what, you should not be reading scanlations, you should be supporting. So I have been waiting for several years for the opportunity to read this story, and I said to myself that I wasn't allowed to read it until the whole thing had been printed and that it had all come out, and I would wait patiently or impatiently, as the case may be. And as you can tell, not reading things I own is not actually that much of a stretch, but Blue Morning is one that I really wanted to read, but I'm still holding off because I want to sit down and read the whole thing, all in a oneer. So yeah, volumes 1 through 8 I have not read. I do know what the story is about because, as I said, I read the first volume, but I have not read the rest, so I don't know how it goes. But I really loved the story and the characters, and I really like Shoko Hidaka's work anyway, so there's a few of her titles in June, I think, the June manga titles. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure she's had some printed as well. Restart, I think, is one of them. So yeah, Blue Morning is the last title in this drawer, and I cannot wait to, well, I can, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to read it. I'm going to read them, but I want to really enjoy it and savour it and get totally into it. And the 8 volumes. I hope everyone is picking this up because Shoko Hidaka needs a lot of love in the world, I think. So that's everything that I've gone through in this drawer. This is drawer number 4, I'm guessing, and it's some of the old Tokyopop titles, some BL, some non-BL, and some of the new titles. They're only just one, I suppose, Hanger, and then some of my SuBLime Overspill, which I have full sets of. Some of the newer ones I've completed as well. So, look forward to the next drawer, which will probably be the SuBLime drawer. I'll just do that one next, I think. And that should have most of my SuBLime titles in it as well. So, I hope you guys are enjoying this series, my BL collection tour. It's mostly BL that I have, so there's the odd one, like I've shown in this one, that's not quite BL, but is more BL adjacent. So, look forward to my SuBLime drawer, which will be 100% BL. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!